Okay, welcome back everyone. In this video we're just gonna keep on keeping on, and I just recorded this whole video actually, and I realized my mic was turned off. And for anyone who makes videos, you know how annoying that can be. So let's try this again. So what I did just off camera, I took these faces down right here. I just pulled them down from about here, just down a little bit further. I just thought it looked more decent in that position, but you know, it's an easy enough adjustment, so I just pulled it there. But other than that, all I really need to do is just keep adding in some more designs. So first things first, I want to pull this little back piece down farther, just so there's more space for it. So I'm going to tab into face mode, grab this bottom face on the Z-axis, roughly to about here should be okay. And we need to do the same thing with the slice piece. Now we don't want to move the actual piece because we're using a Boolean operation here, so we need to actually move the cutter in this case. So I'm going to turn on the cutters collection and basically select the cutter, go into edit mode, and just pull this face down and maybe out a bit more. Maybe pull that down a little bit, just so that way we have some more space. So once we have this, we can just hide the cutter collection. And I need to reposition this piece here, so I'm just going to tab into face mode, and what we'll do is we'll grab it. And if we go into vertex snap, by the way, we can press G and then hold control to snap it there. And it looks like it's kind of slanted here in the back, so what I'll do is grab it on the Y-axis and then snap it there to that vertex, so that way it's completely straight. Not sure how that happened, but that is an easy fix. So here's what we have so far. So now we need to, of course, add in some more detail. So whenever we add in a cutter, we're just going to be using the single vertex trick. You can use cubes and planes here and there. I just find tracing out with single vertices is easier. So I'm going to press Shift A, we'll go to Mesh, and then Single Vert, add Single Vert, and of course we'll just go to Vertex mode right here, and just pull this guy out a little bit so we can see it. And I'll just position it right about here, change to the increment snap, so now I can extrude with the E key. And if we hold control, we can maybe move it right here, move it over a bit. Okay, and then I'll just select this vertex and then extrude across the x-axis like so. And then just to kind of finalize this cutter here, we'll just extrude down and fill in a face, kind of like that. So now I'm just going to extrude across like this, just straight through it, and we're going to use a difference Boolean. So we'll just tab into object mode, shift select the weapon here, and then control minus to add in a cut. So now we kind of have a little bit of detail down there on the bottom. I think that looks pretty decent. And then we can just, of course, move this cutter to the cutters collection. And that's the nice thing about having the cutters collection off by default, is that whenever we move a cutter with the M key, and it moves to the cutters collection, it gets disabled by default and it's organized all in one. Now hopefully you understand how to add these Boolean cuts by now. They're pretty straightforward and simple, so whenever I use a single vert, I'm just going to start tracing out the cutters a little bit faster on videos so I'm not wasting time. You should get the memo by now. So now I just want to align this piece with this top face, so we could grab it and just kind of guess where to put it, or you could just be, you know, a little bit smarter about it and go to face snap, grab on the Z-axis and hold control, and that's just way easier. And you know what, this is fine where it is for now. So you can just see these small little details just really start to build the model, at least in my opinion, so I tend to add those in when I can. Okay, so you'll notice that we kind of have this slanted area here in the back. So I want to match this little back shoulder rest thingy, which we haven't really detailed yet. I kind of want to match it with the angle of this edge here. So I'm just going to go into front view, 1 on the number pad, 5 on the number pad for orthographic, and what we could probably do is tab into edge mode. Yeah, edge mode should be fine, and then we'll just go into wireframe, box select that entire area. So now all we really have to do is just kind of pull this down, get it to match. Can we snap it here? Let's try. Snap it to vertices. And not really, so we'll just kind of put it there for now. But on this front area, B to box select, what we could probably do is just kind of drag that down for now. I think that'll be okay. So now we kind of have that design going on. Might end up changing it a little bit later, I'm not too sure yet, but one thing I do want to do is, let's see, can we pull this edge up a little bit, get it to be a little bit more diagonal? There we go. I just think that looks a little bit neater that way. And now what I think we could do is perhaps take this back face on this piece, we'll just select it, and then maybe just extrude it straight in on the x-axis, right into about there. And you're going to see this kind of just goes straight into the weapon. There's just a complete intersection. There's no sense of like a hole there for it to go in. It doesn't make sense, right? So what we could do is use a Boolean cut here to kind of cut out our own hole so this makes a little bit more physical sense. So if we press 7 on the number pad to hop into top view, what I'll do is right click, or shift and right click rather, and just put the 3D cursor to about there, and then we can add in a cube. And I'm just going to use this cube as a hole for this little back piece. So I'll just scale it up, try to get it as centered as I can. That looks okay. And then we can also rotate this until it kind of matches the angle. It doesn't really have to be perfect. Or what we could do is just stick with the same angle this is going in, and I think that'll actually be easier, and just use a hole that way. So you know what, just put the cube in the general location. We can adjust it once we see this a little bit better. And I'll shift select the base of the gun, control minus on the number pad, so now we can actually see this a little bit nicer. So what I think I'll do is take this cutter and just move it. You can already see this looks a little bit nicer because it has like a sense of depth as to where this piece is going in. Maybe scale it a bit on the Y. Like that maybe. And then just for extra aesthetic purposes, I'm just going to tab into edge mode, select these two edges, and then let's add a nice bevel here. Bevel that area. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this little piece here. What we can do is maybe pull this face back just a bit to about here, and then we can just select both of those edges on the inside. Once again, you can just press Z to go into wireframe and Z to go back into solid, and we'll press Control B to add ourselves a bevel to about here. It's not too bad, but I do want to pull it back some more, so let's just keep making small adjustments here, like that. And then maybe as one final little solution, we can take both these edges here and just move them forward like that. And then same for the front ones. Take the edges and then just move them forward a little bit. And I just think that looks a little bit cleaner. Cool, so we might come back to this later. I just wanted to get that general idea down, especially once we add in more detail to the gun. We'll have a better idea of how we want to reposition things. So I'm going to press Shift S, just move the cursor to the origin so it's in a better location. And let's just keep adding in a few more cuts here. So I'm going to tab into edit mode for the base of the weapon and just pull the front out some more. So I'm just going to grab it on the X and then just give it a little bit more distance. Something like that. And then we can of course do the same thing for this piece. Maybe just scale it a bit on the X and reposition it. So now we kind of have some more space. And then I'm going to make a little bit of a cutter piece here on the top for kind of like an indent or something. So as we always do, I'm going to go into the front and then add in a single vert for another cutter. So Shift A, mesh, and then single vert, add single vert. And then of course we have to go into vertex mode, which Blender, if you happen to be watching this, I think single vert should automatically be in vert mode. But it is an add-on, and maybe someone else made it, I don't know. But yeah, anyways, we'll just move the vertex up here somewhere. Let's extrude it down. Extrude across on the X. And then just extrude up like this. Super easy stuff, and then we can just fill in all 4 of these vertices with the F key and then extrude across. And we're just going to use this piece as a cutter here on the top. So I'm just going to tab into object mode, shift select the weapon, and then control minus to make a cut like that. And then maybe, just maybe, we can pull that down just a bit more. That's why I like using the bool tool, because the cutters have a wire around it, so you can actually see the cut in action. So it looks pretty cool, and then we'll just press the M key, move that to the cutters collection. So it's coming together a lot better. I'm pretty happy with the results so far. I want to add in another design here on the front and on this piece here. So this is usually just, usually what I'll do is I'll take a bunch of gun references and just see how the cutters kind of, you know, fuse into a nice aesthetic. Or I'll just use my imagination and try things. And I'm thinking that maybe adding a cutter over here, maybe a slice, and then one over here would add a really cool aesthetic design to it. So I'm just going to give it a try. Okay, now we are a little bit over time on this video, so I'm actually going to do this design in the next one, so that way, you know, people can stop on this one, do what they need to do, and then refocus. So we'll do this design in the next video.